Welcome back. Welcome to Soul Cards and Connection. I cannot believe this might be episode 4. Oh my God, we're doing it, you guys, and you're on this journey with us. I am so excited. I'm Jamie.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm April. Like Jamie said, we're so glad that you're here. This is a podcast where we explore tarot and ourselves and talk about bringing tools of tarot and astrology into our everyday life. Trust that you found us for a reason, and let's jump in.
I love that. I'm super excited.
Today we're talking about the twos. So in the Minor Arcana, the twos. Rachel, tell us about the twos, please.
So the twos are talking more about dualistic principles, whereas the ace were kind of about the seeds of a new beginning that we talked in our last episode. But the twos really represent this kind of action of duality that we all look into when we're first starting to act upon that new seed of potential, right? So do I stay in my comfort zone, or do I act and like do something new? You know, like we have in so many ways, each one of these represents the elements, as we have all talked about in the past. So if you're looking at a 2 in your spread, it's about an opportunity that you can start to embody and start to act upon. So we can go into them a little bit further, but like I would love to hear what your thoughts are, Jamie. You are holding up some amazing cards, and which 2 did you immediately gravitate? Because we all kind of gravitate towards 1 or 2. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Wow. Look
That's
at that
beautiful.
2 of Swords. Which deck is that from, Jamie?
This is from my favorite, which is Tarot, Ellen Dugan. I'm going to hold this book up because I pull from this one a lot.
And she's sitting in is she in a throne?
Mm-hmm.
And she is blindfolded, and she's holding 2 swords across her chest. And oh no, she's not sitting on a throne. She's sitting on a stone, and she's got a crescent moon in the back. What does this mean? 2 of Swords.
So the 2 of Swords really is speaking to our own intuitive process through our thoughts, right? So when we're looking at the swords as the element and the energy of air, it's looking at her in the sense that she is having to weigh a decision, right? So it's about choosing something. It's about a thought process, about making a choice within our own internal thoughts. And in my 2 of Swords, she has a blindfold as well, and 2 ravens on her sides, and the birds represent kind of our intuitive thoughts, and then also our like motivations. And so sometimes we're motivated by a certain instinctual process but we're not always certain about it, right? That the blindfold and how we proceed. And so this card really speaks to, you know, having to make a difficult decision and regulate ourselves within that. And that's not always easy, right? These are things that happen on a day-to-day level. And I can think of many examples of where I feel like I'm in the 2 of Swords, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I am not drawn to the 2s at all. When I pull the 2s out of the deck in general, like pulling it out for this episode, I am like, my whole body rejects them.
Fascinating.
My whole body was like, no, thank you. No, thank you.
I am not interested in this card. Could you put it back in the deck, please? Thank you.
But it's in that resistance, Jamie, that like I think that there's something there for you, because it is about the 2s in general are about acting upon that kind of initial concept and the thought behind it. In stepping out in the discomfort is when we can understand sometimes, and just an action is better than no action, right? Because we have more information at our disposal after we have acted.
Okay, so the aces, we've got like, there's a seed of potential. And then here in the 2s, we have 2 choices. So we have information to choose from. So we're kind of, that's the forward movement of our journey. Is that right?
Yeah. So one good card to represent that is actually in the comparison between the Ace of Cups and the 2 of Cups. Because if you look at them in a progression, which we'll be doing throughout all of our episodes in this season, it builds upon the other. So maybe the Ace of Cup represents a new relationship or a start of something. And the 2 of Cups represents the the energies of that mixing together in a very profound way. So you're suddenly in a more serious relationship with that someone that you just met, or you are combining a partnership, right? So Two of Cups can represent this kind of harmony that comes into more significant partners and relationships in our lives, right? So it
Yeah.
is about recognizing how we create with others, and in the cups in an intuitive way. The twos are a little scarier than the aces.
So that initial reaction makes sense that I'm
Yeah,
sort of like,
yeah.
Normal, Jamie. It's normal.
Well, I just want to go back for 1 second to my Two of Swords, because I want to tell you guys that when I see this, it looks like Elektra, Jennifer Garner's Elektra. And it's like my favorite character because she is such a badass. Okay.
She is a
Anyways,
badass.
my card looks like a badass. And
She does look like a badass.
that is the reason I'm drawn to this card, number one. And number two, my Two of Cups that we just talked about looks like my husband and I on our wedding day.
Oh my
I
God,
love
it really does.
I'm not going to lie to you. Like, this artist knew what we looked like and drew a picture of us and then put flower wreaths on our heads. So it is what it is.
Can I show, like, so I'm looking at the Ethereal Visions deck. I call it my silver deck, but that's the official title. There's like a double helix symbol kind of
saw
in the
that.
back. And I don't know if that's intentional, but when you said that Cups was about relationships, I was like, oh, look at that.
So the caduceus is actually a symbol of Mercury and
Is that what that
Hermes
symbol is called?
and the goddess. Yeah, so the caduceus, it's about entwining ourselves
Oh my gosh.
with others, and it is
Oh,
about the masculine and the feminine, and this two snakes going up the spines, right? So it is about that relationship, almost kundalini aspect of that like comes into play with partnership. And Hermes and Mercury, the two coming together, is about this combination of the energies there. So it's and cups are healing. And so the caduceus is also very much around how we heal through the lens of another partner as well. So there's lots of symbolism there to play into it. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Wow. I have so many things I want to say about what you just said. I feel like my brain has just exploded. The first thing that came to me was like, you're talking about this symbol that has been around for like a really long time, right? Like all of humanity or like all from our lore. And
Mm,
then we look and it's like the DNA double helix. It's like what's in us. And it's
yeah.
just that happens all the time, right? Like our irises look like galaxies and our thumbprints look like the print of the
Tree
Yeah.
tree
roots.
roots.
Yeah.
And I
Or
love
the lines of a tree stump. Yeah.
the lines
Yep.
of a tree stump. And I love when the geometry and the symbol of the natural world and what's living in our body is reflected in art and things that we knew, right? But we didn't have the technology to see the DNA when this was created. But it's there within us the whole time.
It's there. And so many of these, the tarot really does play into a lot of the Kabbalah and the occult practices and stuff like that. But it is in resonating. There's an actual experiment that's beautiful, and it is about looking at water or sand and putting a tone and a frequency and a sound around it, and the patterns that the water or the sand makes also represent like the flower of life and like the symbolisms that happen, like you were saying, April, and the geometry behind it. And when we study architecture in my world and in the design world, you can see in a lot of the Catholic cathedrals, like all of the rosaries and the windows, like mirror some of the resonant frequencies that happen in water when it's like resonating at the frequency of love or whatever, 432 hertz. And it's this overlapping symbolism that we've continually talked about in every episode, that it's all there to like create this understanding in different layers and in our lives. And it's everywhere around us. And like the more we see and recognize, the better we understand ourselves, as within so without.
Yeah, that phrase was playing in my head as I was talking about the tree stumps. I have another question about Two of Cups before we move on. So this is my Ravens tarot deck. When I saw this image, it
Oh.
is a black raven and a white raven, and they are like, oh, they're not entwined, but they are like hugging each other in a way. They're perfectly fit together.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw this, it made me think of the light and the dark that we talk about. And again, dark not being bad, but dark being the winter and the internal and the drawing inward that is necessary, and the light being the summer and the outward and the expression. So looking at us ourselves as fully formed humans, we need both things. So my question to you, Rachel, we talked about Two of Cups being related to relationships, but is it related to also like the relationships within ourselves, like the sides of ourselves? Is that
Oh.
generally that is what this image made me think. That is what it brought out for me. And I don't know if that's traditionally what that represents.
I think that's a really profound way to look at it, because think of it this way. With the cups, it's dealing with water. And in so many ways, water is kind of like this reflective mirror like surface. And so if we can look at ourselves and see ourselves in a different way in that internal process, that allows us to break out of our norm. And yes, I think that's the same way that other physical partnerships and relationships do for us as well. So if you're looking in a mirror, you're looking through the lens of water, through that internal intuitive process, just as much as you're looking at yourself through the eyes of your actual partner in life, right? So when we partner with ourselves better, like, it's just going to allow us to go through that intuitive process that much deeper.
Interesting.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm absorbing that. So I
know.
feel like I'm quieter this episode because I'm absorbing a lot of this information.
Yeah.
Because I'm so opposed to the twos.
Well, have you changed your mind by the end of the
Wait,
episode?
I have something. I have a 2 to try to change your mind. Are you ready
Okay.
for it?
I'm ready.
When you said I'm opposed to 2s, I looked down and I saw this again, my ethereal visions. I saw her, and look
Oh,
at her.
I love that.
Ooh.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is an image of a woman, and she is like in this dance, beautiful free flow pose where she's holding a pentacle down and a pentacle up, but it is so ethereal, as the deck calls it, and so beautiful and so free. And I looked at this and I was like, Jaime has to like this one.
Yep, I do. And it's
Do
also the
you?
pentacles. Yep. And
I know.
Rachel's too. Mine
Mhm.
feels I don't know what mine feels, but it doesn't give me a sense of anything but like a circus. I look at mine and I'm like, circus, juggler.
I mean, the twos are about juggling. They're about juggling life at its most core principles, right? So, like, when we are looking at the Two of Pentacles, it is about how we are in this constant balancing act in an everyday way, right? So what comes up must come down, and what, in this pattern of this infinite potential that we're all playing with every day. So the twos of pentacles represent that in a very profound way, between like holding what we need to accomplish in my card, she's got the mandala as a purse, like she's holding it tightly, but also she's roping the moon up here. And
I
so it's
love it.
like, how do we play with our physical needs and then our own internal needs as well? Like, how do we fulfill ourselves in balance? And just like every dualistic experience, both are necessary for us to continue to move forward.
It's interesting because I had 3 meetings this week, 1 Zoom, 1 phone, 1 in person. And all of them were asking me, where are you holding the boundary? Where are you holding the line, Jaime? Draw the line, draw the line. And I did that by not being super responsive on text messaging with friends, and like with my students, not answering all the messages that came after hours. It was so great that I had one student who wrote me late at night and then said, I'm so sorry, I should have scheduled this for proper business times. Don't answer me till tomorrow. Thank you. But I still saw your message. But I didn't answer until the next day. I drew that line because they were another reminder of drawing that line.
I think it's a really beautiful message for all of us. Like, it is about how do we proceed in our life with our own boundaries, and how do we juggle all of that, because we're all having to wear a lot of hats all at the same time. And if you get the two of pentacles and it comes out reversed, maybe you've got too much on your plate and you do need to like take a moment to reassess, you know? And so it's like, when we're juggling multiple priorities all at the same time, then nothing is a priority. Then we cannot lead with better boundaries and examples to others if we don't instill those within ourselves first. And you're
Mm.
doing an amazing job with that, you know, with your students. And the more you set that boundary, the more that they'll learn how to do that for themselves as well.
I love the idea of balance with the twos as you're describing them. And I know some people don't like that word, like, I'm balancing all these things. Like, I don't know, it doesn't feel realistic, but I think it's just necessary. So, like, am I balancing myself and others? Am I balancing my boundaries between work and home? Am I balancing like the choices I have to make? It's something that I have to think about a lot because I wear a lot of different hats and, with the kids and myself and work and everything, I'm balancing a lot. And so I really appreciate this two energy that we're talking about today as like a tool to reflect. Like, how are you balancing those boundaries? How are you balancing that relationship? What are you deciding between right now?
You know what's so interesting about that is years ago, I worked with this woman and I still know her. She's amazing, incredible. She said in Australia, they have this saying that there's four burners, but the only two that are the most important is the rapid boil and the simmer. And I was like, and she explained it as you have to constantly be rotating through your burners. Like something's important, something can just sit because you've tended it. So you only have four. You have to be able to let go of something, and you have to put something on that back burner, the simmer, and let it
Mm.
sit while you
Mm.
tend to the boiling pot.
Yeah.
And that just reminds me of the twos of the boil and the simmer. She was always like, the boil and the simmer are the most important.
Yeah. We do a practice in one of my circles where we make lists of what are needs, what are nice to haves, and what can we let go of. And let me tell you, it sounds simple, but when you actually put that pen to paper, that is so hard and always so surprising of what gets put on the nice to have, but is not a need when you really break it down. And so, if we're feeling like too overwhelmed, like that's a great practice, like just sitting and looking at what is an actual need for me right now? What would be nice to have? And what, most importantly, in my opinion, can I let go of?
Ooh.
That's beautiful, April. And because it's one of those things that like that really represents the two of swords right there. It's like that choice of having to make that discernment and the wise aspect of like what is it that we need and what is it that we need to act upon, and not acting on something is still a decision, right? So it, profound in so many ways that like it taps into that.
Oh my gosh, we need to give that a moment. Like, not acting is also a choice.
Yeah.
Like, when you don't do something, you're making a choice, and maybe that's the right choice.
And
We don't
maybe that's
know.
the choice.
Maybe the right action is nothing.
I think that's a good way to segue into the Two of Wands, because I look at the artwork in the Two of Wands here in the Light Seers Tarot, and there's one wand that she's holding, and it's like pointing out towards this window of potential possibility. And she's got a world, and a lot of the Two of Wands hold a world in somewhere in the artwork about the potential of exploration. And there's a wand that's and a staff that's just kind of sitting leaning up against a wall, and that's the very secure point, right? We all have that secure, cozy, we know this is like what we live with on a day-to-day basis, but then there's the potential of the excitement of doing something new and getting out of our comfort zone, and taking that leap of faith that happens in the spirit of the wands and the fire aspect of it. Like, what lights our soul up? We should be acting upon that. And so it's this call as a two, it's like a call to action. Like, the swords are a call to a choice, or a call to a relationship, or a call to who we are and want to be in life. And that's a part of this journey. That's a part of the process. And we have to sometimes act. Sometimes non action is good, but Sometimes we just have to choose something. If we're feeling stuck, I guarantee you, I've had this conversation with one of my friends. We went out to dinner Monday night, and she was just feeling really stuck. And I was like, sometimes you won't know until you just make a choice. And then I promise, like the universe, like let the cards fall where they may, and then you'll have more information.
Yeah, I always say that to people. I mean, especially in birth work or just in life, like, you know, whatever choice you make is going to be the right one, even if it's for right now. And then exactly right, you're going to have more information. You can make a different choice later, but whatever you choose is going to be the right choice because that's what you've chosen.
Oh,
I'm
like
s-
that's what I need to hear. Like
yeah.
it's going to be the right choice, whatever you choose,
Yeah.
because you chose it. So,
Right. And then maybe you'd make a different choice tomorrow, or maybe you continue on that path. But you're right, Rachel. Sometimes we just need to make a decision. I'm so glad you said the word exploration because I've been looking at this Two of Swords and I was like, what the heck is
Hmm.
happening here? Like, so in my image, there is a man and he's looking out over a very high balcony over like a landscape and he's just like looking out and then there's kind of just two swords to the side. And I was like, what does this mean? But when you said that the Two of Swords is about making a choice of like exploration and like, where do we want to go in the world? Like, that made so much sense to me.
The Two of Wands
I'm
definitely
sorry,
is.
the Two of Wands.
Yeah.
she meant the Two
Yeah,
of
I was
Wands.
gonna
She
say,
meant the
you
Two of
said the
Wands.
I meant
swords.
the Two of Wands. Thank you.
I was looking for the boat in yours. Mine is like similar, but has this boat coming in or going out.
I don't have a boat.
It's interesting because it is about exploring something that speaks to your soul, right? It
Mm.
is about that adventurous nature within every single one of us that like we're being asked to explore this life, this world, and staying indoors and staying confined to our spaces where we're comfortable isn't the way we do that.
Well, speaking of your soul, here's my other Two of Wands, which is
Ooh.
so powerful. It is a raven, like a light with flame all around it, and it is holding a wand in its talons and its claws, and it's holding a wand in its beak.
Mm.
And to me, this is really about balance. When I saw this, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's balance of these two things I'm passionate about." This to me really speaks to duality, this imagery.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I want to pull that card.
Me too.
But the fire's behind the raven, and so it's lighting it up, both in its process and, like, just surrounding it with the light to be able to act, right? Like, it's that
Or is it burning its ass?
it's
Like,
Either way either
either
way,
way.
it's telling you to go forward is what you're saying,
Yeah,
Rachel, right? Like, it's telling you,
yeah.
make a choice. What's your choice?
It's shining a light on a situation, and, if we're constantly playing our lives safe, we'll never go where we're really called to. And twos create this need to both balance and also stretch
Ooh.
us in a variety of ways.
So we need to
yeah.
balance, but also we need to make choices. It's really about it's what you said when we opened, right? The twos are about choices.
Yeah, in general, like as far as how they relate back to the major arcana, they have that kind of voice. But you could look at temperance and her balancing act with one foot in the water and one foot on the ground, or the high priestess, where she has both the light and the dark pillars behind her, and it is in taking the dual nature of a lot of these feminine archetypes, and not being afraid. Like it is pushing past our fear to act towards something that is for our own good. Ultimately, all of this is every action that we do, and this is a part of like our own intuitive process and gaining more confidence in that, is that however we act, we're going to be able to hone into our own path better.
Oh, yeah. I think for me, the temperance comes up a lot as a card I pull, and that feels more balanced to me than the twos do for
she's,
some reason.
she's the
She
higher
just
octave of it.
Yeah, she feels like, "Oh, you're doing it right, so kudos." And
Do
then
you
these feel like I'm doing it wrong.
Does this feel, is it because it's the choice aspect, Jamie, that it feels scarier? Like, because you have to act
Oh,
as
for sure.
opposed to receiving like the message from the temperance it sounds like when you pull that, you're receiving a message of like, good job, kid, you're doing great, which
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
But when we pull a 2, it sounds like this is a message of like, what choice do you want to make? And that's what feels scary.
Yes.
So that's a really interesting point that you guys make there, because I think in so many ways as growing up, and this just hit a note for me when you said that, it's like I was taught and kind of programmed in a variety of ways to act on my decisions in a way that would please other people, or right. And so my actions need to satisfy someone else's requirements or desires. And so when we're acting for other people, we're not gaining our own intuitive inner dialogue. Like when we're constantly acting and making choices for other, because others, we care about what others think, or we care about how others perceive us, then we're not being authentically true to our own path and our own desires, right? So it is in that discomfort. And I think that a lot of women, especially, I mean, not necessarily just women, but like we're kind of taught towards that as an intuitive path and process that, maybe is something worth looking at deeper and more.
I love that you said that, because after I said that last thing about whatever choice you make is going to be the right one, and our conversation continue on, I literally have the thought like, oh, I should have said, as long as you're aligned with your own intuition, like as long as you're making the choice from you. I had that thought and I was like, oh, the moment's passed. And then here you are bringing it right back up again. So, caveat to our previous statement, whatever choice you make is the right one, as long as you are making it aligned with yourself. That's the message I wanted to share.
That is a great message to end with. That
I
on the
know.
2s. Like that was perfect.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I'm going to pivot. So I had a creating a meaningful moment offering for the week, and I'm going to pivot it. I'm going to offer the practice that we already talked about in this. I would like to offer for creating a meaningful moment for you for this week. Take a minute and sit down and write, what do I need? What do I want? And what can I let go of?
Ooh.
And may that practice guide you in making a choice this week as we reflect on the 2s.
Oh, so powerful. Oh.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right, wherever you are, please join us in taking a collective breath together. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And may you stay connected to yourself as you step back into your week.
If you loved what you heard today, show us some love. Like, subscribe, follow, and share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a little extra connection in their lives. Join the conversation and stay in the loop by following us on Instagram at Soul Cards and Connection. And let us know your thoughts, questions, and stories. Soul Cards and Connection is brought to you by your hosts and executive producers, April Treadle, Rachel Boozer, and me, Jamie Parker Stickle. And it is a production of Make That Paper Productions. A special thanks to our producer, audio engineer, and editor, Jason Bieber. And of course, a huge shout out to our rockstar intern, Brian Guetta, for your invaluable contributions. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay soulful and stay connected.